Hey, what's up, everybody? Bitcoin just tagged $90,000. You're $10,000 away from 100K. That is history in the making. I just put a video out. I just uploaded it. It's basically just me ranting. So if you like that stuff, you can go check it out. Basically talking about XRP, the breakout. I'm talking about Trump. I'm talking about the central banks. I'm talking about the Federal Reserve. I'm talking about the plan, right? What's the plan? I think it's Trump versus the Fed versus the central banking system. He's going to use gold. He's going to use crypto. He's going to use those as leverage to transition us from the old debt-based fiat currency system into a new, more DeFi system. I could be totally wrong. It's my theory. It's my understanding of what I've done over the last, since really 2017. I've been digging down the hole on what the real reason Trump is fighting for, and it all revolves around the deep state, obviously, but more than that, it's the central banking system. So if you want to listen to that, go ahead. But anyway, let's jump into Bitcoin here. Bitcoin tagged $90,000, right? So as you're moving up and up and up and up, it gets a little bit of it gets a little bit challenging, because you just, especially when you're in price discovery. When you're in price discovery, it's a little bit challenging to know exactly where it's going to stop out at. We can use fib levels, we can use wave structure, we can use things like that. So I think 90K is a good spot for some consolidation here. So if let's look at the 4-hour chart. Beautiful chart. So to me, this looks like a wave 1, 2, and now it looks like we're in wave 3. Okay, so where will wave 3 end? That's a good question. But let's look at the smaller time frames here for just a moment. So if you look at the small time frames, and that's kind of what you have to do to really get an idea what the next move is going to be, you can see, right, that we moved on up here. It looks like we had like a 1, 2, maybe 3, 4, and 5, right? But just looking at this recent correction, what do we have? We have 3 down, right? So maybe that's all we get, and we have a 1, we flag out for a 2, and then we continue pumping to the upside. That's one way to look at it. Another way to look at it is we have 3 down, right? Maybe we get 3 up, and then we get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down. Back down to about 80K, down to this area here, and then go up. So it becomes A, B, C, a much larger correction. You see what I mean? So it'd look like boom, 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 get back down to here, and then continue higher. So which one's it going to be? Well, you just kind of have to wait and see. If we start breaking out of here, if we flag out a little bit and we break out, then obviously it's not going to look like that. It's going to look like this is all you needed, right? So I want to bring your attention towards this trend line here. I thought that was very important. So if we take a line from here, and then we match it along here, you can see where we are. We're starting to break above it. But let's go to linear scale, and you can see we're below it. So if I put this and I tag it, try to get it as close as I can with as many touch points as I can, you can see, I can do it wick to wick. It's a little bit subjective, but you can see where we are. So when I zoom out, look at that, guys. Look at that. Resistance, resistance, and look where we are. We're right back at that trend line. So this becomes a little bit dangerous. People buying in right now. I probably wouldn't buy right now. Definitely not Bitcoin. I'm primarily focused on the altcoins. So let's talk about 2 scenarios with Bitcoin. Scenario number 1, we come all the way back down and we back test the breakout level right here. So basically, You know, if we look closer and we let's put a line here, because that's a significant area right at 72K, right? So if we look at this area, we can easily come all the way back. Maybe we don't have to come and back test it, but we could, you know, start to flag out in here a little bit before going higher. So we have a 1, 2, 1, 2. Now we're in the middle of the third, right? Then we flag out for a 4, and then we get 5. I don't know how big the wave 3 is going to get. I don't think wave 3 is completely done yet. So I don't know. I don't think it's going to come back down here. I think we're going to get a little bit of a pullback around this trend line, right? So something like, let's see, something like maybe we get, for example, 3 down, and then we get 3 up, and then we get maybe 5 down. Something like that, right? So that's one way to look at it. And that would be actually welcome and warranted, right? Because you look at the RSI, we're getting to oversold, but not nearly as oversold as back over here. So we still got some room on that. But looking at it from this perspective, I mean, you can see kind of what we're doing in here, right? So can you imagine having to come back down there? That would be terrible. I highly doubt that's going to happen. So anyways, everything I say is not financial advice. I'm just here to show some light on the wave structure, right? So let's take a look at the 2-hour chart. And the wave structure is still very much bullish. I still feel like we still got a lot more upside to go, but we could have a big pit stop in between, because to me this looks like a third wave here, right? So that looks like a wave 3. Now if we count that, I don't really see, I want to say like 1, 2, 3, and then we flag out for 4, and then we have like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4 with an extended 5th. You can say that, or you can say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ABC. So that's a 1. Then this is a 2, and now we're in the middle of the third. And I think that's the better idea, right? So when's the third gonna stall out? Well, if we look a little bit closer at the wave structure, I mean, you really don't have good wave structure here. I mean, it's beautiful, it's pumping really nice, but you don't have clear Elliott wave structure. So I would say like 1, 2, and then you have 1, 2, 3, 4. Maybe we come up for 5. We pop the high. Or you have an ABC and then pop the high for 5. So as you're pumping and pumping and pumping, just like when you're dumping, right? If I turn the chart upside down. So let's say we're dumping. It's not, it's kind of like you're catching a falling knife. You don't really know exactly where the bottom's going to be until you start seeing some structure involved. Now for this, you can start to see some divergence here. See, we had a low, we came up, and then we made a lower low, right? So you can see some divergence in here. So if I flip the chart back right side up, look at the RSI. That's some massive divergence. So look at that. Boom, boom. That's a very strong divergence. And we're at a psychological round number of 90K, right? So the all-time high is what? 71K? So we went up 82, 92. So we went up almost like about $18,000 from the all-time high. What was the all-time high? Like 73? Yeah, about 16,000 around there. So we just got to give it time, because we need to see some structure, right? All we have is an impulse. right? If we start flagging out, then we can sort of figure out what it's doing here. But as far as it continuing to pump and pump and pump, I mean, there's no really stopping it, right? Until, you know, until we reach, let's see, if we pull up some fibs, like from here. Whoops, that's not what I want. I want this one. You look at that. Okay, there we go. So we hit the 1618 on the dot. Look at that. Perfect. And I believe we talked about that yesterday and the day before. I feel like we've talked about that before, which was 90K. The 1618, right? You basically take this wave here and you go all the way up and then you bring it all the way down. So wave 1, wave 2, and then you can measure wave 3. And 1618 extension is a good wave 3 to have, or it's a good extension to have. So and then when you couple that with the top of this trend line, resistance, 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 and you're at the 618, I think it's time for a pullback, guys. So number one, you had a good third wave. You had 5 waves in there. You had a trend-based fib extension from wave 1 to wave 2, measuring out a 1618 to 90K, and you're at the top of the trend line. So that's 3 different things that say, hey, you know what? Maybe we should get a pullback here. But what would solidify that? Well, if we go to the daily chart, you see that doji candle? We have 2.5 hours to go. So if that candle is what we get, then that's a good indication that the top is in, right? At least for some time, right? It might take a week. It might take 2 weeks. It might take a month. I don't know how long the correction is going to be, but I don't think it's going to be that long. The reason why is because you're in all-time highs. You're in price discovery. So when you're in price discovery, right, it's only a matter of time before you get that 5th wave, right? So if we take a regular extension here, from the top of this down to the bottom, look at that. We're right at the 1618. So this is a good area to take your profits. This is not financial advice. If I'm holding Bitcoin, I might be wrong. We could go to 100K tomorrow morning. Totally. But from a technical perspective, you have 2 levels, right? So now that's 4 things, right? You have the trend line. You have the trend-based fib extension 1618. You have the retrace from down here at the 1618. So I know we've talked about this a lot. So we're right at the 1618, literally. So this is the moment where Bitcoin has to decide, hey, do I want to take a breather or do I want to go up the next level? So if I put on the next level, really the next level becomes 100K, right? And then to get to the 2618, that comes to about 110K. And so you basically have target 1, right? Which if I'm holding Bitcoin, I would probably take about 10 to 15% of my profit. And then I would come up between here and here, and I would take maybe 20% profit. So there you go. There's 35% right there, right, of my Bitcoin I just sold. And then we get to 120 to 130. From there, I'd probably take another 30%, which would bring me up to about 65%. So 65%, and then from there, you just kind of wait and see. Because I'm not going to get rid of all the Bitcoin, right? So that's a good selling strategy to have. I still have to make a video for the members going over selling strategies and things like that. But we're so early, I just feel like it's not an appropriate time. But we will get there. So, again, we've been talking about this 5th wave for a long time, right? We're flagging out for wave 4. Now we're getting wave 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right? So what I can do as well is take a trend-based fib extension from the bottom to the top, back down to the bottom of this wave, of wave 4, and you can see where we're at. We're right about the 786. So to get a 1-to-1 extension, that's about 97K. So I still think we have much more upside to go. And then on the top end of that would be the 1618. So where do I think we're going to top out at? Well, I would say probably between 110 to 120. But in order to get a much more accurate target, we want a wave 2, we want a wave 3, a wave 1, wave 2, we want a wave 3, and we want a wave 4. And then what we can do is we can measure wave 3 to wave 4, and then we can get an accurate target of wave 5. Okay? So we got to be patient for that. But it's anybody's guess, really, on how high this can go. Let's move on to the altcoins now. So, but just real quick, again, we're at $90,000. We touched the trend line here, right? We had a 1618 extension. So everything's pointing to, hey, I'm taking profit. I know a lot of big traders are taking their profits because they take their profit at the 618, the 1618, right? And we have two 1618 profit, and we have the trend line. So we have 3 or 4 things that are in confluence with each other to say, hey, take your profit, right? Especially after a move like that. I mean, let's see, how high have we gone from here? Bitcoin went up 50%. That's a lot, right? When you're talking about a multi-trillion-dollar asset, let's see. Bitcoin is at $1.75 trillion, right? So back over here, back in October, we were at 1.1 trillion, 1.16 trillion. And then we went all the way up. So basically, we added almost $600 billion in a month. So it took 33 days to add $600 billion. That's a lot of money to move in 30 days. So, you know what I mean? So it probably needs a little bit of a break. So either, if this is the top, scenario number 1, we have an ABC, we flag out in here, and then we push up. That's number 1. Number 2, we come down and we back test this area, right? So it'd be like a 1, 2, 1, 2, and then another massive, maybe even another 1, 2, which would be insane. Or you can say 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, and then we come down for 4. Because the fourth wave, I'm letting you know right now, this was a fourth wave. Look how long it took. It took a long time. This is in a different degree, so it's not going to take as long, right? So for example, this was the fourth wave right there. So what we can do is we could just take, let's take a bars pattern, right, from here to there, and then we'll move it over, and let's say that the wave 3 is finished, right, and we still have wave 4, right? So it could look something like that, right? I don't think it's going to look like that, but it could, right? So how long did that take? This took, if it stops right now, it took approximately 47 days. Okay, so between now and the end of the year, we might not even break out till next year. Like this could be it for the end of the year. Now, as far as altcoins go, that becomes a different story, because what happens once Bitcoin stops. Once Bitcoin stops, what do people do? They take their profit. And what do they do when they take their profit? They put it into altcoins, cheap altcoins, right? So we could get a massive alt season in here before going up for that final fifth wave. So this is all theory based. This doesn't mean that's what's going to happen. We don't even know if the third wave is done yet. Okay? But we're at 1.75 trillion. We hit the 1618. So there's evidence to say, you know what, we're getting close. So we have 2 hours to go. If we have this candle close like a doji, right? Look at the last time we had a doji. See here? Right here. We have dojis, right? And you pull back, right? A little bit of a doji there. You pull back. Right? Same thing right here. We have a doji, right? We have a doji here. So doji candles, in a lot of cases, mark the top and the bottom, at least for a short-term correction. All right? So there you go. So Bitcoin dominance is still moving up. And look what it's doing. It's actually bottlenecking in here, right? So that's kind of interesting. So we had that first wave up, and now we're bottlenecking. Boom, 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 boom. This thing could shoot all the way up, guys. It could go a lot higher. It could go a lot higher. So if we take a retracement, I mean, right? Okay. Look at that. We're right at the 618. Let me make sure this is not on log scale. No. So we're at the 1618 right now at 60%. So this thing could still, move on up, right? Because remember, you built some accumulation. You had that first wave to the upside, and now you're bottlenecking. Yes, it could break down, right? Like what Tia did. And we'll show you that in a sec. Or you can spike the high and get up to the 786, 702, somewhere in this area, right up here, which is probably what's going to happen. Maybe 62 to 65% before coming down. I don't think the altcoins are quite ready yet. I think Bitcoin dominance still looks very bullish. This chart looks very bullish. It looks like it still has more upside to go, which means the altcoins aren't quite there yet. All right, so let's look at some altcoins. The first one we got to look at is XRP. XRP is beautiful. Look at that. So we had an impulse, and we flagged out. I mean, we've been talking about this for a long time. I mentioned it in the previous video. But boom, we finally got the breakout. But we still haven't yet completely broke out of this, which is this over here, right? So actually, here we go. Let's put the daily on, or let's see the 2-day chart. Okay, here we go. So the 2-day chart. So here's the goal for XRP. XRP needs to close on a daily scale above this close here. So here's the close right there. And currently XRP is right here. So all we have to do is close above that on a 2-day scale. Now let's look at the daily real quick. Whoops. If we look at the daily, you can see where XRP is. It's right about there. So as long as we close above the close, which we are right now, you can see we're right on the close. Look at that. We're right there. So it'll be interesting. We still have 2 hours to go. Let's see if we can get the job done. So that will mean that will be the actual breakout. And you can say, well, what about this one up here? Well, yeah, you got that too, but it's not as significant. See, this is just 1 point. This is 1, 2, 3, 3.5 points. You know what I mean? So there's more areas. That 65 to 70 cent area is really strong resistance. But we've been talking about this structure for a long time. And basically what it comes down to is what the chart is doing, what the wave structure is telling us. And what I've been explaining over the longest time is that this right here is a three-way pullback. A, or you could say W, X, Y, or A, B, C, right? So if that's a pullback, right? Let's say this is a move up and this is a pullback, right? It took 1 year to pull back, and then we exploded to the upside, and now we're flagging out, and now look what we just did. We broke out. So we're well on our way, guys. I can't explain it enough. Like, this is it. This is the time to get exciting. Now, that doesn't mean it's going to break out today. It doesn't mean it's going to break out tomorrow, right? We might have to wait for Bitcoin again, right? So, but XRP's got a little bit of catching up to do. I mean, we can also flag out in here at the top, you know, because we've came from way down here and we shot straight up to the top. So it wouldn't be such a bad thing if we kind of consolidated a little bit before popping the high, which I very much believe we will very, very soon. So anyways, let's look at the small time frame real quick. Let's go to the 1 hour. Look at the 1 hour. It looks very beautiful, right? I actually started, if you didn't see the last video, I actually started the video right about here. So right here as we were breaking out, I said it's going to break out, and it did. It broke out and it came down, it back tested, but it's looking a little bit corrective now. I'm wondering if we have to come back and test this trend line. So we'll see about that. But yeah, the wave structure is not completely clear with XRP. 1, 2, looks like another 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I mean, it looks like it's revving up for a bigger move. So we'll have to wait and see how it plays out. But ultimately, this looks like a wave 1, a wave 2. This looks like wave 1 of 3, wave 2 of 3, and now we're in wave 3 of 3. So 3 of 3, we want it to get as big as possible. We actually want it to go even higher than that. And then we get wave 4, and then we get wave 5. So that's kind of how I'm looking at XRP for now. Because ultimately, this structure here could be looked at in two different ways. Number one, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, wave 1, and then we have A, and then we come up, or actually it would be more like a W because of its 3 waves. So it would actually be W, and then we have X up here, and then we would have Y, right? So it'd be a 1, 2, and now we're going up for wave 3. Or here's an even more bullish count, which is what? 1, 2, 1, 2. So we have a 1, 2, 1, 2, and now we're in the middle of the third wave, which means it's going to go a lot higher, guys. It's going to go a lot higher. So 1, 2, 1, 2, right? 1, 3-way pullback. 1, 3-way pullback, right? So beautiful, beautiful structure. I didn't like all of this trash in here, but now that in hindsight, it looks really good. So that's XRP. Let's see where it can go. Real quick, 5-minute chart. What is she doing here? She's kind of battling. One of the things I would be looking at here is if we can kind of creep, break. Or we sort of creep, and then we have an ABC. And then we sort of reevaluate down here. So things are going to move very, very fast. All right, let's go to Theta. Okay, so Theta definitely had a pullback. Oh, look at it. Oh, wow. I haven't even really looked. Look at this ABC. Look at that flat right there. That's an expanded flat. And now we're in accumulation. So my feeling is we're going to come up into a retrace. If not, it'll be a wave 1, wave 2, and we continue. So that's the way I'm looking at Theta on the small time frame. If we zoom out, you can see wave 1, wave 2, wave 3. It looks like an A, B, C for wave 4, and now we go up for wave 5, and then we get wave 5, and then we flag out. So maybe we can hit $1.90 sometime, maybe this week, and then next week we correct, right? So that's one way to look at it, because you can see very clearly 1, 2, 3, and look at this. That looks like a 4. So let's come up and get a 5. Or what we can see is, again, we have 3 down. Maybe we get 3 up, and then we get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down. We come back here and we retest some of these smaller levels, maybe $1.30 or so, and then break up. So it'd be a 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we go up for 5, something a little bigger, right? So that's another way to look at it. So ultimately, we want to get back to $1.90 right there. So that's the target. And you can see between here, right? You can see the little bit of a gray zone. So we got to get through this level in here, right? And then once we break $1.63, it's a straight shot to $1.90. So once we break that black line, it'll be very fast, and we'll get to $1.90. So ultimately, Theta, right, is building, right? We've been talking about this as building a base, exactly what it's doing, right? We have 3 waves up, we have 3 waves down. We landed on support. We had the liquidity grab. We talked about the Wyckoff scenario. And then, bam, we got the reaction. And what happens after this is you kind of play around in here a little bit, and then you break out. So let's see how that plays. But so far, so good. You know, it's still bullish. One more look at the smaller time frames here. So you got some bullish divergence, boom, boom, on the 10-minute chart. And then again, it also looks like let's see, like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. A, B, C. Looks pretty good to me. If we take a trend-based fib extension from the top of this wave to the bottom of the A to the top of the B, look at that. We hit perfectly the 1-to-1 extension. So this could be a good area potentially to buy the dip. Potentially. I mean, we're down 10%. I mean, that's a pretty big drop. So from here all the way down, look at that. We went down 16%. That's a big move to the downside. We dropped 16%. So I think, you know, this is a little bit of a good area to potentially buy the dip. Right? Dollar cost averaging, a small amount, because we still don't know if this is going to be more complex like that, right? So we have to see. We have to just wait and see. But so far, it's looking really good. Let's keep moving here. So Theta was actually a little bit of a heartbreak. And again, we talked about this too, right? So the main idea was here, we get up here, we bottleneck. It doesn't always work out, right? And then you break out. We pop the high. But I did say that there's always a chance that it could be a flat. For example, you know, you have an A, and then you creep up for a B, and then you come down for a C, right? So it could be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or it could be finished now. So A, B, C, that's an expanded flat right there, or a regular flat, It hasn't broken the A wave yet, so it's a regular flat. Look at that. See how it comes all the way up? It comes all the way back down. So from here, what we want to see is we want to see a base. We want to see a little bit of accumulation. We want to see evidence of accumulation. And then we can look for higher prices. So that's what I believe is happening. I think this is a wave 1. And this is a wave 2. And now we're going up into a wave 3. Again, it could get more complex. For example, you have 3 down, you can get 3 up, and then you can get, another wave down like that. So it could be, a complex like a WXY before going up. But we need to see, because again, it's all about the retracement levels. Let's see how, because we're right here right now, can we get through the retracement levels? You know what I mean? So if Bitcoin has a daily doji and it hit the 161A and it's at a psychological 90K area, you would have to imagine that maybe some of the altcoins either are going to cool off or they're going to start to accelerate. Or at least some of them that haven't really quite moved yet. So, but as I'm looking at this, let's look at the small time frame here. You can see it's starting to pump. Look at that. It's pumping. It's pumping. Man. Still pumping here. Yeah, it's looking interesting. But you know what? We're just making a retracement. So I don't think it's a 1, 2, 3, 4, because we're kind of overlapping, and then you get 5. I mean, it could be kind of like a diag, but I don't think so. I mean, this looks to me like 1, 2, 3, or actually 1, 2, 1, 2. It looks like we're going to third. We're right at resistance though. So let's see if we flag out a little bit and then keep breaking higher. So yeah, I think that was a fake out to the downside, because again, this looks very bullish here, right? You move up and then you sort of bottleneck. You had a very fast move to the downside, but look, we're reacting strongly. So this could be a flat to the upside. So let's see how that plays out. Because again, I think Theta looks like one of the most bullish charts because of this 5-way move to the upside, and then you have this big 3-way pullback. So you have a 1 and a 2, and this looks like 1 and 2 of the third wave, right? So we should get wave 3, a third of the third, and then 4, and then 5. So how high can it go? I mean, that's, we'll jump in that into another day. But right off the bat, I'm looking at probably about $8.30 or 40 cents or so, right around there. So let's look at SHIB now. SHIB looks still really good. Hasn't had a, one of the things too is like when you come up and then you completely crash. We're not seeing that with really any of the cryptos. They're all holding up pretty strongly. This tells me that people aren't just pumping it to dump it, or like a dead cat bounce, right? I mean, it could still technically turn into that, but a more rational way to think about it is people are not wanting to sell, right? They're hodling because they feel like higher prices are coming, and I have to agree. So when we look at, SHIB, I see a 1, 2, 1, 2, and I see, we're in the middle of the third wave here, and this is a lot of resistance in here, right? So one thing we don't really know is, does this have to go down into reaccumulation? Since we're all the way back at the retracement levels, do we have to go into reaccumulation? For example, you have a rise, a crash. Now we went into the retrace. Do we have to go into reaccumulation before continuing higher, like a cup and handle here, and you break out? You know what I mean? So that could be what's in store for us. I'm not completely sure yet. If we look at the daily, we got a little bit of a doji here, so or a little bit of a rejection here. So let's see. We can always, guys, we can always come back and retest the breakout level. So we can flag out and retest this area before breaking up. It'll still be incredibly bullish, right? So, but if this is like a 1, 2, this looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, then we get 4, then we get 5. That's kind of what it seems like to me. It seems like we got some more upside. If we look at the 15-minute, you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, looks like maybe 5. And you can see the flat, right? I don't really like the wave structure a lot because we have 5 waves in B. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm not sure if that was the 5th. Like 1, 2, and then you get 3, and then 4, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. See, I don't really like that a lot. So I'm more inclined to say that it's a flat, right? We have 3 down, and then we have, I mean, it looks like 5, you know what I mean? So, but if you say 3 down, or you could just say this, A, B, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, C. So A, B, C, it could be a flat, and now this is a 1, and now look what we're doing. We're flagging out. Maybe we go up for that 3rd wave. 1, 2, 3, and then 4, and then 5 later. So that's one way to look at it. Another way to look at it is if this is 3, we could come up and get another 3, and then we can get another 3 later. So it becomes, you know, a more complex 3-way move before breaking up way higher. You know what I mean? So let's see what happens here in the smaller time frames. It kind of looks like a 1, 2, and now we have another 1. Now we're flagging out in here. So let's see what happens. You kind of need a retracement here, right? Because here's the breakdown level. So a lot of times it likes to come up and make a retracement, and then that's where the decision is met, right? So we're getting a little bit of a dump right now on the small time frame. Let's see if we take out that low. So anyways, let's keep moving forward here. XRP still looks okay. Let's take a look at Filecoin. Remember, I took my profit on Filecoin because we hit the resistance, right? And I took it on a couple others as well. Just a little bit, you know, just to wet my beak. So, yeah, I mean, we're obviously, I don't think we're finished. We're right at resistance. You can see we poked the high, right? So what makes sense to me is we kind of flag out in here a little bit, get an ABC going here, or even coming back and retesting some of these lower prices before ultimately heading higher. Because I believe this is only the beginning of what's to come. Because when you look at it, right, because the market is trying to price in a Trump presidency in regards to everything he said he wanted to do, you know, especially the regulations, right? So ultimately the target is right here, right in there, to get back to that first retracement level. So we're not even near that yet. But you can't just go straight up, right? You got to cool off a little bit, you know what I mean? So it takes some time. So let's look at the smaller time frames. Okay, so there you go. There's another flat. Like, look at this. So you move up, you're sort of bottlenecking in here. You hit the high, and then you have an A, B, and a C. Looks like a flat. So we'll see, you know, all of these charts look like a flat. So we'll see if, you know, it holds up. And we'll see if, you know, we have to get something more complex before going higher, or we'll see if maybe we pump up, we flag out, we continue higher. Because again, when you look at it from this perspective, 10-minute chart, you have an impulse to the downside. You have a three-way move to the upside. And then you have another impulse to the downside, like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So A, B, C. It's a beautiful flat. And now when you look over here, we pumped up and now we're kind of flagging out. So maybe we come up and we have a retracement. And then we reevaluate. But for now, everything looks great. Let's keep moving. Or let's go to ADA. I missed that one. So ADA also looks like a flat. Jeez. So you have 3 down, right? And then you have sort of 3 up. And then it looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down. And then it also looks like it's flagging out. So again, A, B, C. It's a flat. Again, we don't know if it's going to be more complex. For example, if you have 3 down, you can get 3 up, and then you can get 3 back down. And then the whole thing becomes a much bigger 3 before ultimately going up. So that's kind of where we're at. So for me, this is accumulation area because we're at the bottom of this correction. So we've established, support, 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 right? And we're at the bottom of this range. So to me, it's a little bit of a DCA area. And this is the top of the range. So, yes, we can keep breaking down, but, it kind of has to prove itself. We could actually come all the way back and retest this area, which I don't think it's going to do that, at least not right now, because it doesn't give me that feeling. So, but the bigger time frames, if we go to the daily chart, it's incredibly bullish. This is like Theta being at $1.90. Okay, so we sliced right through it like it wasn't even there. It's kind of funny. Charles, the founder of Cardano, came out and said, "Oh, I want to apologize to the XRP community." Yeah, because he's probably feeling good because he had a big old pump out of it. People say nice things when they're feeling good. But yeah, that thing went straight up. So that's what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 straight daily candles in a row. We're on a weekly or a daily 7. We're about to get an 8. And then tomorrow we should get a 9. So, it's still up for debate if we're going to have a much more complex correction here, flagging out, right? Before ultimately going higher. So 1, 2, 3, and then we flag out for a 4, and then we get wave 5. So wave 4 should be about the same size as wave 2. So if we take a bars pattern and we go from here to there, right? And then we take this, we put it right about there. We should maybe be finished by Saturday. And then maybe by next Tuesday, so 1 week from now, maybe we break out again. So yeah, that's kind of like a ballpark figure, something like that. But we don't know until we get more wave structure, right? So, and that revolves around the smaller time frame. So let's look at, let's see, Aave. Aave's not really too interesting. It's just kind of corrective. So we'll go back to that one. Near, this one I did really well on. I got a really good price on it. We're right back at resistance, right? Because remember, this is a 3-way pullback, and then you have either A, B, and now we're getting C, right? So we have 3 down. This could turn into 3 up, and then we can get 5 down later on. We still don't know, right? And that's the kind of the interesting part. But based off the size of it, I would imagine that it's finished. right? So we can look at it as we didn't break the low. So you can look at it as a 1, 2, 1, 2. And now this is the first wave of the third wave. And then we flag out a little bit, and then we go up into that third, 4, and 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So all of that becomes the third wave, right? So I'm still expecting much higher prices with basically all of them, especially near. Again, we moved up, we bottlenecked, and this is where Theta is, and that's why I'm interested in it still. And we broke out, and we had like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we could get like an A, B, C, which would be totally fine. If you look at let's look at the smaller time frames. Let's see what we got here. So I don't really have a flat on here per se. The other ones had like A, B, C. I mean, it's a really weird flat if it is. So this one gives me more of the vibe like, okay, we have an A, let's get a B, and then we come down for C later on. Hopefully we don't break this low. We don't want to break that low. We want to stay above it, which is about 450. XLM had a beautiful, look at that. It's pumping to the upside. Again, it's hyper correlated with XRP, so it doesn't surprise me at all. Again, with XLM, I basically said, look, we're flagging out in here. We're doing this corrective motion, right? So it's only a matter of time before we break out, and we totally did, and I love it. Especially because when you look at XLM, look at this monster. You got 3 up, and you look at this 1, 2, 3 down. And then you impulse to the upside, you flag out, and now you break out. So all we have now is 3. 1, 2, 3. So we need to keep pushing. We need a 4 and we need a 5 to really seal the deal. And then an ABC, and then we continue. So it looks really, really, really good. Unfortunately, I didn't get to... I have XLM in a hold position, but I didn't get to facilitate any trades with it because I was with XRP. But man, it still looks freaking bullish. Look at that. You're basically getting, it looks like you're about to go parabolic in a way. Let me go to like the 10-minute chart. Yeah, look at that. Looks great. Let me pull up XRP again. So XRP still creeping up to the upside. Look at that, 73 cents, guys. Awesome. All right, so let's look at IMX. See, IMX doesn't really... Okay, that was this. Okay. Yeah, that's a trickier one. That's a trickier one here. 1, 2, 1, 2. I mean, I don't think it's finished. I think you got a little bit of a correction in here, but I think we got more upside. I think the target is to the upside. But remember, they received the Wells notice from the SEC. They're about to get sued by the SEC, and I'm in a long position. Am I crazy or what? We'll find out. Yeah, the 4-day chart, I mean, that's all you got. A little tiny pump there. Not so bad. But if we can, we have 3 up, we have 3 down. I want to see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up. I want to get back to here. Right? And that's my target. That's where I believe we're heading. And then we reevaluate. CRV on the 4-day chart looks really great. Again, we had an impulse. We had a 3-way pullback, right? And this took back in September or August. So like September, October, November, 3 months we've been going down in this flag. We broke out and now we're back testing the flag. So maybe we flag out a little bit more on this wave and then we pump up. I mean, that's kind of how all the charts are looking here. And then eventually, we get back to here, about 50 cents. So we'll see how that plays out. Let's look at the small time frames. I'm just looking at the charts or the coins that that give me a good indication of what the market is doing. So okay, yeah, I see it. You see it? So this to me looks like a wave one. All of it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Or 5 here. And then what we have is A, and then B, and then C, or WXY. It could be a flat in there, but I don't think so. I would actually say this is the top. And then we have A, and then we have 3 waves for B, and then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for C. So A, B, C. So it could be finished, right? We took out this liquidity. We even took out that liquidity. We bounced to the upside. So maybe we flag out a little bit. And it can either turn into a more complex wave. So 3 down, 3 up, 3 down, and then go. Or we can just continue higher, but it's all going to be about the retracement levels, and we're not quite there yet. So let's see how that plays out. So, man, XRP is still pumping. Let me go to the 5-minute. Yeah, see, XRP hasn't even went parabolic yet, right? You see how it's kind of just, it's creeping and creeping and creeping and creeping, and it kind of gets, the incline gets steeper and steeper, but we haven't really seen anything incredible quite yet, even though we're back at 72 cents. I mean, that's amazing. So that's how you know this is the real deal. ICP, Bitcoin added, 500 billion within a matter of a month. I mean, that's a lot of money. That's a $500 billion in a very short period of time. So that's how you know it's not no dead cat bounce. This is the real deal. But for altcoins, I don't think it's going to be clear sailing from here. I think we still got a lot of work. We still got a lot of resistance up ahead. I mean, for example, when you look at Zcash on the 4-day chart, these are some of the things that concern me. Because look, you got massive bearish divergence. Massive bearish divergence on the 4-day chart on Zcash. So it kind of tells me like, okay, well, maybe it's not quite ready yet, right? Maybe this is an A, B, C, and we got it running flat, and then we go up. You see what I mean? So we could have a little bit more downside to go with certain ones. Let's take a look at Matic. Matic still looks fine. I mean, again, it looks like 3, 4, 5, and then you have an A, B, C. That looks like a flat to me. So again, you can get 3 up and 3 down and then go, or you can just keep pushing higher. So it's a little bit of a challenging spot. I mean, you can even say that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 3 down, 1, 2, 3 up, and then 5 down. A, B, C. It's a big flat, a running flat, and then you get up here, you flag out, you continue. So that's kind of where we are. I mean, that's why I look at a lot of charts to kind of give you an idea of what they're all saying. AVAX, not really clear with that one. Flow, okay, yeah, Flow had a nice flat. Look at that, 1, 2, 3. I mean, you could say 4 and 5, but I don't think so. I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's what I think. A, B, C. 1, 2, 3, flat for 4, and then we get 5. We'll see. Theta, we just talked about it. Looks like a flat. We got a nice pump. I mean, Tia is really the only one that had a nice pump off the low. So I'm kind of counting on it to be a wave 1. So let's flag out in here and let's get a wave 3. Let's go. Again, you know, Bitcoin is kind of the elephant in the room as far as, you know, things might needing to pull back. But again, when Bitcoin does pull back, you could get a lot of bullish consolidation. So Algorand looks really good. That looks really good for Algo. I mean, it looks like it's still... I mean, you have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then you have an ABC. And then you have like a 1, 2, 1, 2. And now you're pushing higher. And that's kind of what I think Algo's going to do over the next several weeks, months. So as far as people wanting to buy the dip, it's like, where do you buy? Well, anytime you have a big flash crash like that in a big bull run, look at this. We dropped freaking 12% almost in a few hours. Well, a little more than a few hours, but you know, we bottomed. No, actually, it was 1, 2, 3, about 3 hours, less than 3 hours. This is a 45-minute chart. And now we're starting to react, right? You can see we built a little bit of a consolidation here. A, B, C. We're accumulation. See the accumulation? And now we're accumulating above that. And then you break out, you back test, you're continuing. You got resistance in here. So you're getting squeezed. So we have to see. But yeah, everything's looking great. Let's see, anything else? Let's check out XRP versus... Oh, XRP versus Bitcoin had a massive reversal off the low. Look at that. Look at that. That's what we wanted. That's what I wanted to see. See? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. A, B, and then we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for C. A, B, C. So there's your 1. Come on. Let me do that one more time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's your 1. There's your 2. Right? Right back to the low. Higher low. And now we impulse to the upside. And then we get our wave 3. How high can wave 3 go? I mean, wave 3 can go a lot higher. It can go all the way back to here. Actually in this zone. Which is right about from this low here. That's about 200% away. Oh no, about 150, 160% away. So man, everything's looking great. Look at total 3 real quick. Total 3. Okay, so total 3. We have an hour and a half to go, but look at the doji, guys. We got a doji candle. So is that going to be enough? Or do we need to flag out a little bit before going higher? That's the question. And we just don't know that. We don't have enough wave structure on the smaller time frames to get an idea. But when I look at the small time frames, they still look super bullish. Like this thing was going up, 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 up. It had a big dump down, but look, it's coming right back in full force. So it can continue pumping to the upside. So it's looking really good. Ethereum. I don't even like Ethereum anymore. I give up on Ethereum. I think it's going to do really, really well, but I'm just not too sure about it in the short term. Fetch has been acting pretty bearish lately. Obviously you have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You have a 3-way pullback. Actually, you know, on the small time frames it's been bearish, but if you look at this is a wave 1, this is a wave 2, and then we get 3, 4, and 5. So that would be wave 3. So let's see how it plays out. Look at the flat though. You have a wave 1, and then you have A, B, C. There's your wave 2. So let's get wave 3. This could be a good spot. I mean, look at the dojis. You can see the dojis right there. Look at that. And we're almost on a 9 on the 2 hour. I'm sure we're on a 1 on a 9. Okay, yeah. There we go. So yeah, the 2 hour looks great. At least for a retrace. At least for a little bit of a retrace. Because you're right back down at support here, right? A, B, and you know. The one thing I'm not too sure of, I don't think it's a third wave. For example, you have 1, 2, and then you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I just don't think it's a third wave. It's too small. It doesn't look right. So the best guess would be a flat, and you're right at support. So let's come up and make a retracement. Let's get a retrace for fetch. All right, and then let's see what happens. All right, Theta Fuel. Theta Fuel looking really good. Look at Theta Fuel, guys. 1, 2, 1, 2. And we got 3 up. We got 3 down. I'm looking for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up. I'm looking for, you know, like 9, 10 cents for a retrace. So it's going to take some time, but I think we'll get there. I still got some requests I got to get to, and I haven't gotten to them, but let's take a look at the smaller time frames real quick. Yeah, this also looks like a flat A, B, C. So let's see how it all plays out. Ethereum Classic. You can see the flat there, A, B, C. Right, now we're starting to pump higher. So let's see if we continue to do that. So anyways, that'll do it for this video. I've gone long enough. Appreciate everybody. Not financial advice. If you can like this video, I really appreciate it. Like it for the bulls. If you're a bull, you gotta like the video. And drop a comment. Let me know what you guys think, and I will catch you guys on the next one. Cheers.